What the business, YouTube, episode 69. My name's Jay Florida, and today's career of discussion is an engineer. So, what is an engineer? An engineer is a professional who applies scientific and mathematical principles to design, build, and maintain machines, structures, systems, and processes. They act as problem solvers who turn theoretical concepts into practical real-world solutions while navigating constraints like safety, cost, and available materials. Now, to give you a piece of history, people applying engineering principles have existed since ancient times, devising tools like the wedge, lever, and wheel. The structured profession of engineering emerged in the 18th and 19th centuries during the Industrial Revolution. Before then, engineering was primarily a military function or handled by master builders. A few basic requirements to becoming an engineer include defining disciplines such as mechanical, aerospace, civil, or computer, earning a bachelor's degree, securing an apprenticeship, passing exams such as the fundamentals of engineering and professional engineering, and obtaining state licenses as necessary. Now, becoming an established engineer can take you anywhere from 4 to 5 years and cost you anywhere from $15,000 to $200,000 or more when considering your field of study. As far as your range as an entry-level engineer, you can expect to make $70,000 to $75,000, with a few things affecting how much you take home being your discipline, industry sector, education level, and union status. A day in life as an engineer can be described as writing code, drafting schematics, meetings with managers and clients, analyzing data, supervising operations, learning new technology, and project deadlines. As far as opportunity, anyone can become an engineer if they decide to apply themselves without any particular barriers being in the way. For that reason, the engineer scores green for opportunity. Now, a few examples to take note of in this field include Nikola Tesla, a visionary electrical engineer who pioneered the alternating current electricity system, the induction motor, and the Tesla coil. Next, we have Isambard Kingdom Brunel, a legendary British engineer who revolutionized public transportation by building the Great Western Railway, as well as groundbreaking tunnels, bridges, and steamships. And last but not least, we have Katherine Johnson, an extraordinary NASA mathematician and aerospace engineer whose orbital trajectory calculations were critical to the success of the Apollo 11 moon landing. And if you guys want to see more of this content and better, make sure to comment, like, subscribe, send the hype, the whole business. Now, moving on to our fact moment segment of this episode, starting off with fact number 1. The Eiffel Tower took exactly 2 years, 2 months, and 5 days to build. Construction began on January 28, 1887, and was completed on March 31st, 1889. Fact number 2. The Pythagorean theorem is a universal mathematic principle used constantly across all fields of engineering, stating that in a right-angled triangle, the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides. It is written as the equation A2 plus B2 equals C2. In fact, number 3. Some problems experienced by the Brooklyn Bridge engineers include Cason's disease, underwater fires, and explosions. And for our last segment, before we move on to the circle of influence, we have health risks and mitigation. Starting off with increased risk of cardiovascular diseases, obesity, and type 2 diabetes from prolonged sitting. Mental exhaustion, anxiety, and burnout caused by intense focus and tight deadlines. Musculoskeletal disorders as a result of repetitive typing and ergonomically improper setups. Inhalation of hazardous welding fumes, toxic gases, and chemical dusts, which can cause respiratory issues and various cancers. Crush injuries, entanglement or amputation from malfunctioning mechanical parts, falling from heights or electrocution during on-site inspections, and long-term hearing loss as a result of exposure to loud noises. As far as mitigation, you should utilize adjustable sit-stand desks and supportive seating to help with musculoskeletal disorders. Take short stretch breaks and practice a physically active lifestyle outside of work to combat sedentary lifestyles. Always wear required respirators, hard hats, anchor points, and hearing protection to deter cancer, injury, falling, and hearing loss. Use employee assistance programs to combat mental health disorders, strict adherence to OSHA safety standards, and regular health screenings to monitor long-term health conditions. Now, that does it for our primary segment. I'm going to go ahead and give the floor to my co-host for the Circle of Influence. What the business, YouTube? Starting off the Circle of Influence, we have respect. Is this a career or a position that brings me respect and dignity? Now, as an engineer, you have a long list of responsibilities that require precise calculations to bring to life and ensure ideas function as intended. For that reason, the engineer scores green. Moving on, we have growth. Is this a career or a position that presents me with the opportunity to grow from a $100,000 earning threshold? And for this segment, the engineer scores green, with sources online citing that the engineer has the potential to make anywhere from $250,000 to $500,000 or more in a single year. Next, we have gore. Is this a career or a position that will have me dealing with an abundance of blood, violent action, grotesque imagery, or scenery? And for this segment, the engineer scores green, as in no, you should not be dealing with any of the mentioned before. Gore is not a typical part of your day-to-day operations. In fact, it would be a very odd Tuesday if you were to say be crushed by a collapsing structure. And for our last ideological standpoint, we have moral conflict. Is this a career or a position that will have me compromise any of my foreseeable morals or make decisions that will weigh heavy on me later on? Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, don't kill. The basic set of guidelines. And for this segment, the engineer also scores green. Now, moving on to the statistical side of things, we have gender demographics, where men make up 85% of the industry and women make up 15% of the industry. Next, we have ethnic demographics, where Caucasians account for 68% of the industry, Asians account for 15% of the industry, and Hispanics account for 9% of the entire industry. And for our last segment, we have location demographics, top paying states, no particular order, starting things off with California, followed by New Mexico and Colorado, and closing things out with Alabama and Delaware. Now that does it for the Circle of Influence. I'm going to go ahead and give the floor back to Florida. I'm back. Just to summarize, the engineer, they make up a group I'd like to call silent heroes, as they are responsible for pushing the boundaries of human existence. Depending on which field that you want to go down, it can become very expensive. You know, a long walk before you reach the house on top of the hill. However, you do start out making very good wages and can handsomely scale up with an earning potential of $500,000 or more in a single year. Now, with that being said, it does look like we have a full episode here today. The word of the day is minuscule. Self-help resources on the board. As always, I'll leave it down in the description. And again, if you guys want to see more of this content and better, make sure to comment, like, subscribe, send a hype, the whole business. And I'll see you guys on episode 70.